Hi friends, Mindy here. I have a process video for you today. I wasn't planning to do this, but when I started working for day 6, I thought I would just go ahead and turn my camera on and record. I have an idea for this background that I thought might be fun to share. So I'm pulling out the tags from day 5 just so I have a flatter background because I'm going to be using this background stamp. This is called Vintage Map. This was one of the stamps that coordinated with the kit. It sold out really early on. It was pretty popular, but I do believe they are going to be restocking that. So anyway, I'm going to be stamping in archival ink in the color Ground Espresso, and I'm not too worried about a perfect stamp because this is going to be the background, but I want to do it as good as I can. And because this left side is really lumpy, I pulled in a craft mat just to kind of give me a hard surface that I can kind of stamp on. You can see my impression wasn't perfect, and that's totally fine. I'm just going to go ahead and stamp this all the way up the page, and I'm just kind of alternating like which part of the globe you can see. And then I'm gonna just stamp it. You can see it's not a perfect impression, and that's totally fine. I'm gonna do it one more time up here at the top just so I don't have that white space up there, and then I will stamp the other side, the other page as well. And now I'm taking some matte medium. You could use collage medium or all kinds of things to do this, matte gel, whatever. And I have this tissue paper, just that you would wrap a present, and it's in this kind of tan color, and I'm just going to glue this down. And I put down a layer of matte medium first, and then I put the tissue down, and then I'm putting another layer of matte medium over the top to kind of seal it. And I'm layering these pieces of tissue right over the top of each other, and they're torn, so it has this kind of jaggedy edge, and I'm kind of trying to get like that old world map kind of feel to this page. So I'm just going to keep layering in areas till I get all of the white space covered. I'm trying to be careful up next to the seam or the gutter of the traveler's notebook. And also I don't want to get any on that other piece of paper that's there with the florals. So I'm just layering this on. Again, I had kind of, 2 layers over here on the right side of this page, so I decided to add another layer, and that just kind of gives different depth of color and everything. And again, just doing a coat over the top after everything is done, and that's going to help me with the next step. So after I do this side, I'm going to dry that, and then I will move on to the page on the right as well, and I will do the exact same thing. Here I'm just making sure everything is sealed down really well, and now I have done that same process over on the right side, and then I trimmed everything down, and now I'm taking a Neo color. This is in the color, I think it was Night Blue, and I'm just scribbling this on here. This works because this background is a non-porous background now, and I have some white gesso. I'm using Dina Wakley. It doesn't really matter. I just use it because it has this little precision tip, and I can just do a little bit at a time. It's just a really convenient size bottle for a project like this. So I'm just using the gesso to activate the Neo colors because they're water soluble. They also can work with gesso, and so this is going to look like a hot mess for a minute here, but that's okay. So I just added some color randomly around the page, and now I'm going to take a baby wipe and kind of knock back some of that color, just kind of smooth it out so it doesn't have very defined edges and whatever. And also I still want to be able to see the stamping and stuff through there, so I didn't want it to be completely opaque like it would be if I had just left the gesso on there. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on this back side. Excuse me. And now I'm coming in with a gesso wash. I keep this in a bottle, just makes it easier, and I'm applying this over the entire page, and this is just going to kind of bring everything all together, and then again taking a baby wipe and pulling some of that color back, and this just makes everything have a nice even finish to it. And I was not really very excited about the back. I like this paper, but just with my page, I just didn't really feel like it was the color that I wanted. So I went ahead and just added this gesso to this. Now keep in mind, this page has no matte medium or anything on it. It's just, I went just straight onto the page, and I thought if I don't like it, can always add more pattern paper or whatever. But in the end, it ends up working out really well. So I went ahead and did that on both sides. And now I'm going to go in, I'm coming back to that ground espresso color that I stamped in, and I'm going to edge all the way around each of these pages and just kind of distress the edge. I'm trying to apply it pretty heavily here around the corners, and then I'm going over the top of the page really lightly, and this is going to make it seem not quite so like foggy white. I don't know if that makes sense. Just going to add a little bit of color in there, and it also hits all the high points where there's like ridges and from the layers and everything, and it just gives it some more texture and some more dimension, and because you're kind of hitting all of the high points on there. And then I went ahead and did this with this page on here as well, just covering up all of that gesso, and I ended up really liking the way that this turns out. So I'm just going to go ahead and go around all of the pages, even this part that has the florals here. I'm going to go ahead and just to make everything really, look the same. And then I wanted to use this girl. This is the little warrior that is actually from the stamp set that was in the kit, the devotional kit. And so I'm stamping this on some distress white heavy stock from Tim Holtz. You could use watercolor paper or whatever. This is just what I had handy, and I stamped it in some Versa Fine Onyx Black ink, and then I'm going to add some clear embossing powder here, and I'm going to emboss that. I plan on watercoloring this warrior, and so it just helps to have the embossing on there, especially when you have an image that has the really fine lines. It just kind of helps you be able to direct your watercolor a little bit better, and it doesn't bleed through into the sections where you don't want it. So just using my heat gun there to melt all that embossing powder, and I'm pulling out the watercolors, the Daniel Smith watercolor card that comes with the kit, and a water brush, and I have some clear packaging there, and I'm actually going to use this as my palette. So I don't work directly from the watercolor card. This is just another way to make your watercolors last. A little bit goes a long way with these watercolors, but as you can see here, I just use that as a palette, and then I will let that dry, and then I can reuse that little quote-unquote palette down the road. So I went ahead and finished watercoloring that little warrior, and then I cut it out, I fussy cut it, and now I'm going to go around all of the components. I wrote all the scriptures and all my notes down on all of these cards off camera, and I went around those with that same ground espresso archival ink just around the edges. And the library cards that you see here and the prescription cards, these are from it's called the Classics, I think, on the Bythewell4God website. They just have like a set of neutrals, which are really helpful. So they have a set of neutral library cards and prescription cards, and even alpha stickers, so the little tile alphas. So just if you want something that's just neutral color that will go with everything, you can pick those up too, and I'll put my affiliate link down below as well. So I'm getting ready to glue everything down, and I decided I wanted to add a little bit more over here on this left side. So I tore a strip of fabric that I got that coordinated with the kit, and I'm just going to glue that down here over on the left side. And now I'm going to glue all of these pieces down. I made a couple pockets, little tuck spots, just the way that I do whenever I'm working kind of in a traveler's notebook. So I had this flower that I wanted to use just to add some interest here on the right side. So I cut off some of the white part, and then I went around it again with the ground espresso, just because it was pretty stark white compared to everything else. So I went ahead and I was going to glue this down up here in the top, and then right at the last minute I changed my mind and I just glued it down here on the bottom right. I wanted to be able to still see some of that background. So I have everything kind of tucked in here. I'm just trying to reconfigure where I have these cards, but I still felt like something, I don't know, I just felt like it was needing a little bit of something. So I'm taking these watercolors again, and I'm just going to mix up a brown color, and I'm doing this on my acrylic block here because it was handy. So I'm just mixing up a brown, and I'm just going to do some splatters in the background. It's really subtle, but it just gives it a little bit more interest. And so I just went over all of the areas, and I'm just kind of trying to not get it in places I don't want it, but you know, when you splatter, it kind of goes everywhere, but that's okay. So this is how my page ended up looking. I have a couple pockets here. I made a pocket out of that pattern paper that was with the kit, and that's it. So if you like this video, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. That helps other people find my channel. Subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, bye-bye.